Vikings, who won the toss, have deferred, and Ryan Longwell, one of those who went down to Hattiesburg on Monday night to kick off, and Bobby Guillory, a rookie who played his college football across the bay at Cal, will return it, and that's Candlestick Park. And you know what that means, and especially in the late afternoon, early evening, the odds are 50-50 that the opening kickoff will be blown off the tee.
Glad I took the over.
And that'll compel one of the Vikings to hold it in place here, as after that stuttering start, away we go officially from San Francisco. Guillory takes it at the 2-yard line. And a good run back in front of the Minnesota bench out to the 31-yard line. So here comes Alex Smith, who played his college ball at Utah, was the #1 overall pick in the 05 draft. The guys behind him will see Anthony Dixon from Mississippi State, Josh Morgan, Ted Ginn, and Delaney Walker, with Nate Byam, the double tight end set with 2 wideouts, Staley, the left tackle, and then you've got 2 rookies at left guard and at right tackle. And the 2 rookies were both drafted in the first round, so you knew what the 49er priorities were on draft day. From the 30-yard line on first down, the ball is handed off to Dixon, a rookie from Mississippi State. We're not going to see Frank Gore tonight. He is their main man, of course. He's fine. They're just resting him up for the regular season. For Alex Smith, it's kind of like do or die, now or never right now. He was the guy, came out of college, played every snap in 2006, got hurt in 07, missed 08, started the year last year on the bench behind Sean Hill, took over just shy of midseason and played pretty well down the stretch. But it's his time now. He has the opportunity. There's no competition for the #1 spot. Does he have it or does he not is the question. 2nd down and 8, and Smith dumps it over the middle, and the catch is made there by Dixon. Now that Viking defense, a very good defense, especially the guys up front, with Allen, Williams, Jimmy Kennedy, and Ray Edwards. We're not going to see Pat Williams tonight, who would normally be alongside Kevin Williams. Lieber, E.J. Henderson, a great story. We'll talk about that. He comes back with Greenway, Allen, Williams, Sanford, and Antoine Winfield coming off a broken foot. He'll play a little bit tonight and starts in the secondary. Vikings led the league in sacks last year with 48. That's 3 per game. 3 wide. Nickel defense, and Smith throws, and the catch is made. And this is Ted Ginn Jr., who played with Miami. High draft choice a few years back by the Dolphins, but didn't cut it there. And now he's trying to get it started in San Francisco, Chris.
How about Ted Ginn right away going to help the 49ers? They said when Ted Ginn got here from the Miami Dolphins, he was so shell-shocked. In practice, he was only catching about half the balls that were being thrown to him. Took a little time this summer to work with Alex Smith, and all of a sudden his confidence came back. They are expecting huge things from him. He was a major disappointment for the Dolphins, but they are excited about him here.
And all they had to give up was a 5th-round draft choice to get him. And he also should be able to help what was an inept return game last year. And then tripped up in the backfield. That's E.J. Henderson, the middle linebacker, number 56, getting his hand on Dixon. And the last time we saw Henderson, he was suffering a horrific injury in Arizona last December.
Let's go the good news first here. Watch E.J. Henderson come through here and make a play. The emotional leader of the Minnesota Vikings, and they are absolutely thrilled to have him back, but they cannot believe he is back and playing already after that major injury.
Broken fibula, a femur rather, a broken femur. Had surgery at the end of the year and thought he might not be back this season at one point, but he had other ideas. This is Anthony Dixon again carrying out to the 50-yard line. And we were there that night in Arizona when he was collided with by his own teammate. In fact, let's take a look at exactly what happened. And then his brother was in civvies on the sideline and helped escort him back when the car took him off the field. Here's the play.
Well, you could just see it coming, and we will not show it to you again, I promise you. But it was a horrific moment, and you thought, oh boy, is his career over? Is he ever going to be able to play again? And they certainly didn't think he'd be ready for the start of this season. And here he is already making plays.
3rd down and 4. Can Smith convert again? He buys time, throws on the run, moving forward. And the catch is made by Dominic Ziegler, trying to win a wideout spot with the 49ers. 1st down.
2 young rookie offensive linemen up front. Mike Upati right over here, working in pass protection. That is the big question mark. Not physically can he and Anthony Davis, the right tackle, get it done, but mentally, can they get up to speed in time, especially because they don't have their veteran center, Eric Heitman, out there to work with them. So it is going to be a bit of a scramble drill early on for those two.
David Boss is the center. Dixon again. Well, Alex Smith trying to look good, trying to get everything together, Chris, but he's minus most of his key guys. Frank Gore, of course, the running back, Vernon Davis, the terrific tight end. They also, of course, have Michael Crabtree,
right,
and he has a neck sprain, so he is not playing tonight. So you've got 3 very important guys, and there is Crabtree right there. Nothing serious. If this was the regular season, Vernon Davis, they would be playing. 2nd down and 10 with the ball at the 38 on the game's opening drive. Smith feels the pressure, steps up, guns it over the middle. Delaney Walker to the 15-yard line before his helmet pops off. And another San Francisco 1st down. 24 yards.
Great job. We talked about this offensive line, but watch what they do here off to the right-hand side. They're going to have a double blitz coming, and they pick up both of them. Chad Greenway gets picked up. Alex Smith steps up in the pocket. And I tell you what, Al, so far, he looks much more confident than what I saw him a season ago. Pretty slick move by Delaney Walker, too. This is some drive.
Again, Smith playing with a lot of missing ingredients and playing against, for the most part, the Vikings' first unit defense. Pump fake, and then Dixon, the 6'1", 233-pound rookie out of Mississippi, gets taken down at the line of scrimmage. Dixon is fighting for a job and playing time. You know you're going to have Gore. And the 49ers also this week signed Brian Westbrook, the longtime Philadelphia Eagle, who've been out in the open market and was thinking about going either to the Rams, the Redskins, or the 49ers. And when Glenn Coffey retired, there is Westbrook, and there he is in the San Francisco red and gold.
I'd like to have Brian Westbrook as your 3rd-string running back. That works.
Of course, Westbrook, the question is, does he come back healthy? A couple of concussions last year, surgeries in the past. Smith throws it out of bounds. Walker was covered on the play. It will be 3rd down and 11.
Well, as always, when you play the Minnesota Vikings, you have to deal with Jared Allen, number 69. He's out there working against the best offensive lineman for the 49ers, and Joe Staley does a pretty nice job in there. So many number 1 and number 2 draft picks on this offensive line, and they're facing, in my opinion anyway, the best 4-man front in football. Good test for these guys today.
3rd and 11. Drive began at the 49 to 30-yard line. This is the 11th play of the drive. 4-man rush, and over the middle, bingo again. Hits Delaney Walker. So Smith feeling the pressure very nicely. Another time on this drive that he steps up in the pocket, moving forward, hits his man.
That's it right there. We talked about Mike Singletary eyes in the back. Check out Alex Smith's eyes. He's going to look left. Didn't like what he saw. Comes back to number 2. There he is. All right. That looks like some quarterback play right there, but it's due in large part to the fact that he's had plenty of time. He hasn't been getting hit. And that's really been the issue for the 49ers this past season. They were 3rd and 8 or more than any team in football last season. And I don't care who your quarterback is, you're not going to look good.
That was a 3rd and 11 play, and as you can see, it's a 1st down. So Smith has started the game as Favre waits, and we'll see him when the Vikings get the ball. Smith, 5 out of 6 for 59 yards.
Well, at 40 years of age, Brett's probably thinking, I got to go warm up again. This drive's taking forever.
I'm going to be 41 by the time I get in there. Looked like Smith was having trouble with the headset communication. Offensive coordinator here is Jimmy Ray in San Francisco. And for Smith, that's big news. He finally gets a guy to come back. First time that's happened in his pro career. Dixon around the corner, in for the touchdown. '49ers 3 for 3 on third down on the drive, and they go 70 yards in 12 plays.
You see that play a lot, but I tell you what, this Anthony Dixon, we haven't had much of a chance to talk about him yet. He stunned everybody last week, rushing for over 100 yards, right on top of Glenn Coffey retiring and shocking everybody. This young man, if he can figure out the passing game and the blocking schemes, he's going to get to play a lot.
Joe Nedney in his 15th season in the league. The left-footed kicker bangs it through. Perfect start for the 49ers. At Candlestick, Favre next, 7-0 San Francisco. Cable cars, San Francisco. Beautiful day, a little breezy at Candlestick Park in the southeast corner of the city. Dixon going in for the touchdown. And the Vikings to get the ball now for the first time. Shane Andrus to kick off. Darius Renaud takes it on 3 bounces at the 5-yard line. And Renaud with a good run back. Breaking tackles, dragging guys with him to the 30-yard line. Our final tease of Brett. He's really gonna play. He's gonna play on the other side of this commercial. So when Brett Favre came out onto the field when we were in commercial, they booed him pretty good. I mean, part of it is the Packers used to beat the 49ers a lot. He's the opponent. And a little bit of it had to be, okay, enough already with the drama. We didn't appreciate it. But here he goes to begin his 20th season, and he swings it out to Adrian Peterson. A missed tackle there, and Peterson will pick up a first down and then get pushed back after he picks up 13. Take a look at the ankle, and we'll keep an eye on this, Chris. The left ankle is the one that had the surgery for the 3rd time.
You'll see when he throws, he has to torque on that ankle when his hips come around, and that's the issue. He's already there you go, you see the twisted ankle there. 3 surgeries on that ankle, and he said Dr. Andrews did not give him an out. He said, you can play, Brett, you can do this. There he is.
From the 42-yard line, and the handoff goes to Peterson again, and this time the 49ers stout defense is right there, led by Manny Lawson, the outside linebacker, number 99. 49ers play a 3-4, and Minnesota talking about using a muddle huddle, which is not really a no-huddle thing, but they just kind of mosey around near the line of scrimmage, and that's what they're doing right now.
Well, they want to get used to the fact that the umpire is now behind Brett Favre, and he will look over on the side. Back in here is where the umpire is now. So now when the ball's in play, you have to look to the side, or the line judge over there to the left. So a little change. They're just practicing the mechanics here.
2nd and 13. Favre is under pressure, and he goes down. And there is no fumble. That's Patrick Willis, and he is a guy who gets to the quarterback with some frequency, plays the run fabulously, one of the very best linebackers in the league. And that's the last thing Childress or any Viking fan wanted to see, Favre going down in a heap.
A little cross stun up front, and Greg Minuski told us the other day, the defensive coordinator, he said, I tell you what, you come play Brett Favre against me. He said, you're taking a chance with your $16 million. We're coming after him. We didn't forget what he did to us up in Minnesota last year with that last-second touchdown to win it.
Ball came out after he went down, so there was no fumble. Albert Young is the back, and they'll give it off to Young. And Young on the 3rd and long will take it up to the 39, but for the Minnesota Vikings, they will punt.
But you know what, for Brett Favre, I hate to say this, but that's what you want to have happen to you. You want to get hit once, hopefully not too hard, get yourself back in the action, and now you probably settle down a little bit more on the sideline.
Now we'll see if he comes back for a second series.
No
Because, Brad
No
Childress
question.
is saying if it's a 3 and out, he'll be back in. That wasn't a 3 and out. They actually picked up a first down. and then 3 more plays. This is Cluey's punt. A flag is down. It's taken at the 4-yard line by Bobby Guillory, and he brings it back up to the 16-yard line.
Remember when preseason used to be base defenses and just sort of getting to know everybody out there? Here they come with the double barrel blitz on Brett right up the middle. You want to come back? You want about $20 million? You're going to earn it.
12 players on defense. Penalties declined. First down. Timeout.
Better in a preseason game than on a drive in the NFC Championship game. You know what I mean. Back to Candlestick we come. 5:18 left in the opening quarter. 49ers with a 70-yard drive have the ball for the second time. And once again, this is the rookie Dixon who gets taken down by the outside linebacker Chad Greenway after a gain of 2, second down and 8.
Yeah, we talked about Alex Smith a little bit, and we were also discussing it with Jimmy Ray, the offensive coordinator, and he said, Alex Smith is such a smart kid. He keeps telling me, I want to know everything you're thinking. At all times, I want to know everything you're thinking. And Jimmy Ray said, man, I don't even know what I'm thinking sometimes. You relax. Go out there and just let your instincts take over. This is your second year in this offense after changing every single year prior to this. Let your instincts take over. You'll be fine. That's what he did that first drive.
Don't get paralysis by analysis.
Yeah.
This is Anthony Davis jumping.
76, offense. 5-yard penalty. Second down.
That's one of their 2 number-1 round draft choices. Anthony Davis was picked in the first round, as was the left guard Mike Upati, as the 49ers have the 2 kids starting up front.
Yeah, Anthony Davis last week got Robert Mathis, and they intentionally gave him no help whatsoever on the great Pro Bowler of the Colts. They wanted to check him out, and he said it was a pretty long afternoon chasing that guy around.
Second and 13. Inside handoff. Nothing happening there. You know, you look at those 2 kids up front for the 49ers. How odd is it to take 2 offensive linemen in the first round when you have 2 picks in the first round? It's only happened 1 other time in the last 35 drafts. And how did it work out? Well, the Jets got DeBrickashaw Ferguson and Nick Mangold 4 years ago, so pretty well on that count.
For those who don't know those 2 names, that 2 very talented young players. They're physically going to be tremendous. Mentally, preseason will not tell the tale.
3rd and 15. And again, an inside give. Dixon becoming the workhorse tonight, as he was last week in Indianapolis. You know who's the most thrilled guy in the room on draft day when you pick 2 offensive linemen? The offensive line coach.
Yeah, or the quarterback, one of the 2.
Right.
It might be Alex Smith. And really, that was one of the keys. How about Anthony Dixon, though? That young man has made a name for himself around here. They went out after Coffey retired and sort of panicked and picked up Brian Westbrook, but I tell you, Dixon has really played well.
This is Asher Allen, who's going to run the kickback. He's also trying to win a job as a starting cornerback, and he gets knocked down after the punt by the Pro Bowler Andy Lee. Reggie Smith makes the tackle. Favre coming back out again. 2:47 left in the quarter. 7-0 49ers. Well, Brad Childress said Favre might play as many as 10 plays depending on what happens, but I guess he saw enough, did Childress, and Favre is done for the night after 4 plays. 1 pass for a first down. Then he got sacked, and Tavares Jackson, who would have been the guy had Favre not come back from Mississippi, will take over here, and it's a 3-yard gain up the middle for Adrian Peterson.
Speaking of Adrian Peterson, there's a lot of conversation going on right now whether or not Adrian Peterson will become the 3rd down back for Chester Taylor now with the Bears, but he's going to have to make that block right there. He got the right guy, but it was the wrong guy. It was Patrick Willis, 3-time Pro Bowler, one of the best linebackers in football, and he was no match that time. Adrian Peterson wasn't.
2nd down and 7. Peterson swinging it to the outside, turns the corner, and one of the elite running backs in the league picks up a first down as he gets up to the 43-yard line behind a block by Chris DeGear, and that's a gain of 12 for AP.
Yeah, he's pretty good at doing this, though. And pretty good block up front, too, by Chris DeGear. The draft pick's going to pull out and around. This time he pins Patrick Willis inside and allows Peterson to jump to the outside. Look at him protecting that football. We all know and remember the fumbles in the championship game that had such a big impact on that game.
From the 43-yard line. And again, it's Peterson this time going through the middle. Justin Smith makes the tackle. That 49er defense really played extremely well last year. Three-man front, Smith, Ricky Jean-Francois, and Sapoaga, the defensive tackle out of Hawaii. Harrelson, then Willis, of course, is the key guy. Spikes has been around for a long time. Manny Lawson led the team in sacks. Clements, the ex-Bill, with Goldson, Lewis, and Spencer. If that defense can play as well as it did last year and Smith can pick it up for the offense, then you're talking about something. Under a minute to play in the quarter. And Jackson will dump it off underneath, and this is Peterson again, and he gets taken down in the open field from behind by Willis.
There aren't many middle linebackers that can chase down Adrian Peterson. Patrick Willis, some athlete. Boy, he had quite a battle going in practice the other day with his teammate Frank Gore, and you can see that speed. He runs about a 4.5 40, and Adrian Peterson obviously faster than that. But Patrick Willis, if he stays on the path that he's on right now, will land in the Hall of Fame. 3 straight Pro Bowls. He just simply has been one of the leading tacklers in the NFL since he's arrived.
3rd down and 3 with the play clock down to 2. Tavares Jackson just getting it off on time, and they'll complete that, and that will be a first down. Logan Payne makes the catch, and that takes us to the end of the first quarter. With the score, San Francisco 7, Minnesota nothing. And Sunday Night Football from San Francisco continues after these messages. This week there was a widely circulated story that Brett Favre didn't respect Brad Childress, didn't like him, and that was one of the reasons he might not have come back. So I asked Brett about his relationship with Childress, and here's what he said.
Did we have some I don't even know if you would call it disagreements last year? Absolutely. But I consider that a good thing. I have memories of Ditka and Parcells just chewing out Harbaugh or Sims, and seemed to work for them fairly well. I think he's done an excellent job. Will there be disagreements this year? I'm sure there'll be plays where he's not happy with the way I execute them, some of the things I do, but we're fine. I thought that article was totally ridiculous.
Favre talking about his relationship with Childress. Favre also addressed the team a couple of times this week as well, because I think Brad thought it was important when that came out for the air to be cleared in that regard. So anyway, those were the words of Favre, and part of our sit-down interview, the rest of which, or most of the rest, you'll see at halftime. What's your take on that?
Well, Al, I've been around this league a long time, and I've done it myself. There's not been a single player in the NFL that hasn't dogged his head coach or one of his assistant coaches behind his back at one time or another. And the same thing goes for the coaches towards the players. It's part of it, but it was the teammate, whoever it was that made the statement, who's truly at fault, because that can rip a team apart. You start with that backbiting and rumors, and he said this and the coach said that. That will rip a football team apart, and that's what Brett addressed. He got up in front of the team and he said, listen, guys, I don't know where we're going this year, but I know this. If we keep having stupid stuff like that happen, we cannot get to where we're trying to go, and that's really the key.
Well, it was the old unnamed source, and we still don't know who it was. Only the author could tell us who that was, but Favre had to nip it in the bud. Berrien made the catch on the last play, and now Jackson, who's very fleet of foot, takes off and runs for the first down as he takes the ball down to the 19-yard line on the gain of 14.
Well, we all know that Tavares Jackson can do this. When he gets back there, doesn't see anything that he likes, he can take off and run. A very athletic guy. But I was watching him throw in practice. They were throwing out routes. Brett would throw one, Tavares would throw one. There was not much difference in the velocity on the football between those two guys. You think I'm crazy, but I watch a lot of them. Pretty similar.
Flag is down. This is Peterson. For Jackson, who was going to be their quarterback of the future.
Number 72 offense. 10-yard penalty. Repeat first down.
Chris DeGear, when they drafted him, he was going to be their guy. And of course, had they not had the chance to get Favre, he probably would be the starting quarterback. He took over for Gus Frerotte at the end of the 08 season. Played very well down the stretch, and until Brett showed up in Minnesota last year, he was going to be number one.
And the problem for him is he can't get the experience he needs until he can get on the field and play regular season games. He's growing. Childress will talk about it. Brett talks about it. You can see the improvement, but until he gets out there for a full season and really gets a shot, nobody's really going to know where he is.
Fake to Peterson in 1st and 20, and then Peterson makes the catch after Jackson had gotten hit, and Peterson able to stay in bounds and take the ball to the 21-yard line. That was Travis LeBoy who came in. He put enough pressure on Jackson that the pass wobbled, but it was able to get to Peterson, and it's a gain of 8.
Travis LeBoy gets the pressure coming from the outside right here. But check out the arm strength here by Tavares Jackson. He gets hit as he's throwing it and still has enough on that throw to get it out to Adrian Peterson. Right around McKinney, and if Brian McKinney has any issues at all, big man trying to deal with small speed rushers.
2nd down and 12. And AP stopped by Lawson. So for Adrian Peterson tonight, that's 6 carries for 16 yards. Normally, I mean, through the years, it is the next to last preseason game that's the dress rehearsal. For the Vikings, that will come against Seattle at home next week. And then the Vikings will open up their season on NBC 2 weeks from Thursday night. Minnesota at New Orleans to open up the entire season. Albert Young is now the back. 2nd-year guy out of Iowa. 3rd down and 13. And Jackson under pressure. Tries to get rid of the ball, and he's able to. Was he in the grasp or not is the question. Ray McDonald got into the backfield, and Jackson was able to remain upright and get it off.
Tavares was looking for anybody down the field. Bernard Berrien could not get a release on the outside. Check out what's happening over here on the other side. 4 to cover 3, nothing there. And so really it was just a matter of Jackson trying to get rid of the football. But there are a lot of experiments going on up front right now. They've got Anthony Herrera, the guard, in playing center. Chris DeGear, the draft pick, playing guard. That stunt that time got him.
40-yarder by Longwell is perfect. Could have called in the grasp on that last play. Surprised they didn't. 11:07 left in the half. Vikings are on the board. Niners lead by 4. How's that for a sight? San Francisco Bay, the Bay Bridge to your left, Pyramid in the middle. Beautiful afternoon, late afternoon, early evening in the Bay Area. Guillory takes it at the 5-yard line, and Bobby comes up the middle all the way out to the 37-yard line. Tackled by Benny Sapp. 7-3, 49ers. Mike Singletary has a mic. We'll call it sound check. He's got those 2 rookie offensive linemen, and he is coaching them up. Listen.
You potty. Make sure you guys have leverage out there now. You guys are getting a little high. Get some leverage. Okay, you got to be low to get these boys out of there. Big man, make sure you stay low out there. You're getting a little high out there. Okay, you're getting a little high and wide. You're not going to block them like that. We got to get down. Okay.
So Mike Singletary, who made his mark, of course, on defense, coaching up the offense in his 2nd full season as the head coach here, taking over for Mike Nolan in the middle of the 08 season. And now you've got an end around coming back the other way is Delaney Walker, and there's nothing happening there after the play fake through the middle.
You know, it was interesting with Anthony Davis. We got a chance to visit with him the other day, the offensive lineman, and as only rookies can do sometimes, he found a parking spot very close to the building and thinking, boy, this must be my lucky day. And about halfway through the meeting, somebody walked in and said, hey, whichever one of you knuckleheads in here parked in the owner's spot need to go get your car. Anthony had to get up. A few cat calls along the way.
Number 1 jab choice, doesn't matter. Second and 11 from the 35-yard line. Swinging it to the outside and right there for another short gain. Nate Byam, a rookie tight end out of Pittsburgh, drafted in the 6th round.
Well, out there making the play defensively was Chris Cook, the Minnesota Vikings first draft choice, and they are excited about what he did a week ago. This is a big, long-arm guy, about 6'2", and that's extremely tall for a cornerback, but he's already proven he can be physical, caused a fumble last week. He's going to get a long, long look. Antoine Winfield only played about the first series, and then they're going to turn it over to Chris Cook now.
Vikings didn't have a number 1 last year. Cook came in the 2nd round out of Virginia. 3rd down and 7 now from the 39, and the pass is caught. Can they convert? Diving for it is Ziegler, and he should have it as he gets across the yellow line, and they'll spot it across the line for a first down.
Well, and on the other side, another good battle going on for the Vikings. Asher Allen right here working against Dominic Ziegler. They're going to do a little pickoff on him there. He'll learn more about that as he goes along, but he's really locked in a battle on the other side with Lito Shepherd, the veteran, trying to decide who's going to go there. Possibly Chris Cook, the other corner, could come over to the right side. So between those 3 guys, somebody will play opposite Antoine Winfield.
And Ziegler battling for his own job on the other side of the ball with the 49ers. And that pass is caught by Walker, and that'll be a first down. Ziegler might have a better than normal chance because he went to Baylor, Chris, the alma mater of one Mike Singletary.
Yeah. All right, on the outside, Anthony Davis. Take a look right here. That's called getting overextended right there. He tried to take a step too far forward, and as he did, the arm over by Jamie Mitchell, who was sensational a week ago for the Minnesota Vikings. Had a couple of sacks against Jason Smith in that one.
Smith, 8 out of 9 for 81 yards. And this time he'll take a timeout with some frustration, too. 8:40 to go to the half. 7-3, 49ers. Here, trying to get outside is Dixon. Mitchell makes the tackle. Talked about Smith having the same offensive coordinator for the first time in his tenure here. Take a look at this. When he was a rookie, Mike McCarthy, who's now the coach at Green Bay, was the OC. Then Norv Turner, now the coach at San Diego. Hostler comes in 07. Mike Martz now with Jay Cutler in Chicago, 08. And then Jimmy Ray was here last year and gets to stick around.
Yeah, and everybody seems to be happy about that. Alex saying he finally gets a chance to break down an entire year of film and have it be relevant to what they're doing next year.
2nd down and 12. And Smith has nobody open, so he throws that away. Now, if Smith, who has every chance to make it and do what he can do, but if for whatever reason he goes down, they picked up David Carr as their backup quarterback. We'll see him before the night is done. So the 49ers on their roster have 2 guys who were the #1 pick in the draft. There's Carr in 02 when the Houston Texans came into the league. He was their first pick out of Fresno State. And then Smith was the 49ers first pick in 05 when another guy who was on the board was playing his college football across the bay, a fellow by the name of Aaron Rodgers.
I think everybody remembers that around here, don't you?
You bet.
Aaron Rodgers went on to do okay with the Packers.
3rd down and 12. And under pressure, Jasper Brinkley put the heat on that time, and that will create a 4th down and a San Francisco punt.
Good job here by Jasper Brinkley. He's going to take a step back and then come on the blitz, and they catch the offensive line of the 49ers on this one. But to me, this is a plus for Alex Smith. He escapes, he gets rid of it. Punt the football, no big deal. Don't turn it over. Don't do something stupid there. They win, no problem.
Andy Lee, 2-time Pro Bowler, and that punt with a flag down for the moment is a beauty, going out of bounds at about the 7-yard line. At the call, Bill Levy heading this crew.
Ineligible member of the kick downfield, number 53. 5-yard penalty. Repeat, 4th down.
Re-kick coming up here with 7:38 left in the half. Of course, 49er fans know all about this. Aaron Rodgers made his first start in 08 because he had backed up Brett Favre until then. And his career off to a great start, and the Packers are a prime Super Bowl contending team. And then there's Alex Smith, who made his first start back in 05. Then we mentioned before he hurt his shoulder in 07, missed all of 08, had 2 surgeries, and actually had a chance to leave here, but opted to re-sign for less money because he said, hey, I've got some unfinished business here and I want to make it.
Yeah, and he said, I'm not that kind of guy. He felt like he was walking away from an obligation.
Lee kicks it to about the same spot again, and it bounces at the 15-yard line, so the penalty does no damage at all, winds up in about the exact same spot. Call it the 8-yard line. 7-3, 49ers. So our director, Drew Esikoff, went to Colgate. So you know anybody from Colgate who's in the league is going to get a lot of acclaim and face time. And there is Greg Minuski, who was a linebacker at Colgate. But he has really done a good job with that defense as you take a look at those rankings last year.
We'll talk a little bit about how they play here in a minute.
Toby Gerhardt is now the back for Minnesota, the running back, and he played his college football down to 101 at Stanford. But before we can take a look at him, we have another flag here.
Encroachment, number 95 defense. 5-yard penalty, 1st down.
Ricky Jean-Francois. Well, the guys call him Gene, but I was talking to a couple of folks around the team, and it's really Jean.
Yeah, we were asking John Madden the other day if he ever had a nose tackle named Ricky Jean-Francois. Had a snicker out of John.
On 1st and 5, now you've got Gerhardt, who is number 2 in the Heisman balloting. Mark Ingram of Alabama won that honor last year. So Gerhardt playing at Stanford at 28 touchdowns. They were 51st pick in the draft. Vikings traded up with Houston to get him, and the question is now, can he wind up as the number 2 back?
Well, the big question on him coming out of college was, could he catch the football? I mean, he only had like 12 catches per season, but the guy played center field on the baseball team, and so can't be too surprised that he can catch the ball. They've been very pleasantly surprised with what he's been able to do in that area. 2nd
and 2, and that's Reggie Smith, who got right there to take care of Tay Biddle, the intended receiver. 3rd down and 2 upcoming.
You know, we talked a little bit about this 49ers defense, and when you watch them on tape, what really jumps out to me is a couple of things. One, they set such hard edges on the outside. They don't let people get outside their outside linebackers, and those inside linebackers just attack downhill. Are they vulnerable to play action pass? Maybe. Are they vulnerable to a bounce out run? Maybe. But if you run anywhere between those hash marks, they're going to get you.
3rd and a deuce, and that's tipped in the air and incomplete. Matt Wilhelm, one-time San Diego Charger, was able to bat it up and almost came up with the interception. 4th down.
Anytime you've been around a little bit here, you want to be able to show your athleticism. Watch Wilhelm, the veteran, get vertical. Yes, sir. Had to be a good, 3-4 feet off the ground that time, Wilhelm was. Take care of the old guys right here.
Chris Kluwe, formerly with the Seahawks. dropping it, picking it back up and running into his own man, and now covering up the football is Guillory, tackled at the 29-yard line. 49ers have it back 6.5 to the half. 7-3 49ers. As we come back into Candlestick Park, the ball is at the 32-yard line. Anthony Dixon takes the ball up to the 35. Mike Singletary wired for sound, and here he was before the game talking to Bobby Guillory.
Hey, look at here. You're going to catch every punt and every kickoff. If you can't do it, you tell me now. If you can't do it, you tell me now. Because if you can't do it now, I'm going to take you out and put you in when you feel you're ready. So tell me now. Can you do it or can you not do it?
I can do it.
You sure of that?
Yes, sir.
Good enough. Okay, well, good luck, son.
I wonder if that included recovering your own muff. Your muff reception.
Toughest job in football.
From the 34-yard line. That pass is incomplete, intended for Ted Ginn Jr. And speaking of Ginn, he's the guy who's going to wind up returning a lot of kicks this year, because that's the one thing he did excel in Miami.
That's the one that the 49ers and Singletary would have loved to have seen completed. Just a little in cut on the outside. Little high, not a great throw, but that's the kind that Michael Crabtree is going to catch every time for you. And that's the kind that Ted Ginn needs to make. I mean, that's it. That's the difference between what he can do physically and becoming a good player in this league.
3rd and 8. Smith, who prefers the shotgun. Dixon comes up a little bit short of the first down. Tackled here by Jamie Mitchell.
You know, Al, you made a great point about the shotgun there, because Alex Smith in college played out of the shotgun, and he's more comfortable there, and they've tried to accommodate him. And that's a good idea, except for the fact that you have Frank Gore in your backfield, who's one of the best players in all of football. And when you're trying to run out of the shotgun, there's 1 or 2 plays that you can run, so they have to make the decision what's best for the team or what's best for the quarterback.
Andy Lee's kick. Here's Asher Allen. And Minnesota will take over at that spot. Where are we here? Well, Fisherman's Wharf.
They just beat that thing right up, didn't they?
Found it. Oh, into traffic. I don't know who that one was intended for. When you're seeing nothing but guys with 60s on their back.
Yeah, it looked like Khalif Mitchell got over in front of that thing, and Brett will tell you every once in a while you just got to, take it and throw that thing out of the way. There you go, Khalif Mitchell. Check him out. He sees this screen and rolls into, really just kind of got lucky, but he was right there. They're trying to get some things to get the ball in the hands of Toby Gerhart and get him settled and comfortable to see if he can be that 3rd down receiver on this team. Right now it looks more and more like it'll be Adrian Peterson.
2nd down and 10. And the catch made here by Tate Biddle. For the Minnesota Vikings, remember they're playing without their 2 top receivers. Percy Harvin, who has recurring migraines and who collapsed on the practice field last week and spent the night in the hospital, is not even on this trip. And Sidney Rice, who has a hip issue, and Rice has not played in preseason. For the moment, he's on the physically unable to perform list. So the question is, will either of those guys be ready to go on opening night? 3rd and 4. And getting out of trouble, and did he pick up the first down or not? Well, Greg Minuski thinks he did not, as he goes over to tell Bowman what a great job he did on the tackle, but it looks like the official's going to spot the ball across the line to gain.
Well, Tavares once again not finding anybody down the field, but he is at least apparently keeping his eyes down the field. Let's see, he's looking, he gets a little bump, he tucks that ball and is going to take off right now. Looked like he got enough to pick up that first down and did. He's a good athlete. You know, sometimes, Al, as a young quarterback, you have to almost force yourself not to run, you know, to be able to just start going through those progressions.
And Jackson gets jostled, and a penalty marker is down.
Well, here we go with that discussion. The umpire in the backfield now.
Holding, number 44, offense, 10-yard penalty, repeat first down.
Brian D'Imperio, rookie from Rutgers, fullback.
Well, you just wonder how many more holding calls you're going to see. Watch the top of your screen. The umpire will come into the frame here, start walking in right about in there. And that gives him a great vantage point for offensive holding. It also gets him out of the way for the pick plays that receivers like to do in behind him. All that's good for the defense. Nothing really good for the offense is coming out of that, and it's also slowing down the no-huddle offense to some extent.
First down and 20, and again Jackson goes down, but he gets the pass away, and it's caught by Gerhardt.
Tavares Jackson's getting the same treatment that Brett Favre got. Only Tavares Jackson didn't get any in the grasp call. Sometimes when you're that good an athlete, they'll let you play. Tried to hit the screen pass, but that's about Travis LeBoy has welcomed him a few times. Good job there by LeBoy not driving him into the ground, or would have gotten the penalty. Brett, as soon as he got grabbed, they were blowing the whistle and didn't allow that fumble.
On second down and 13. Heat on again. Jackson gets it away this time. And Jackson, just before he gets planted, hits Gerhardt again, who takes the ball out to the 31-yard line, but still 10 yards shy of the first down as Navarro Bowman, a rookie from Penn State, put the heat on.
There we go. Bowman's going to bring it in from right here. And they're excited about this young man. But you can see they had the screen set up, but with that long yardage situation, they're just unafraid they're going to send some pressure every day. And that's what happens in these preseason games so much. These offensive lines just don't get to play together very much. And if the defenses want to blitz, your quarterback's going to pay the price.
3rd and 9 when we come back. 2-minute warning in San Francisco. 7-3 49ers.
I had no clue that those guys were coming down, first of all. I was sitting on the couch in the kitchen. I had my grandson on my lap, which kind of sounds funny. And I happened to look over my shoulder, and here's Hutch, Longwell, and Jared Allen. My first thought was, oh boy. I kind of have a feeling the way this is going to end.
Well, we're going to talk to him at the half, and we know how it ends. You tuned in late. Brett played one series tonight. He was in for 4 plays. And he got a flag, so you got a free play here because the defense came across the line. And they can't capitalize on it. Now you've got another flag downfield. Well, Brett didn't know that they were coming, but Deanna had to.
2 fouls on the defense. 50 offside, penalties decline. Pass interference, number 41. Penalties accepted, automatic first down.
That is Carl Pima.
Yeah, a great job by Tavares Jackson that time, keeping that play alive. You saw him jump and kept it alive and ended up getting a pass interference and the first down out of it. I tell you, we were talking about Brett, though, a little bit. My favorite line out of it was Jared Allen said when they were on the plane going down there, they were sort of scheming. You know, what would they say to Brett to try and get him back? And how would you say it? And what would you do? And they finally came up with, Jared Allen came up with, hey, dude, you want to play some football? That was it. That was their line.
Albert Young, and he was ready. But they got down there on Monday night. Deanna had to know because they had to get some guest rooms ready. Guys slept over. Brett went to sleep at about 9:30.
Yeah,
over morning coffee.
Yeah, how about that, though? All those guys come down. You know they're bubbling over with excitement to talk to them about this whole thing. Brett's an early riser, so at 9:30 he said, good to see you guys, I'm going to bed. Just left them hanging in the living room.
2nd and 8. And again, the Niners put some heat on, and they hold Jackson up, but the sack is recorded by Travis LeBoy, who's been around a long time, didn't play last year, but he's been with Arizona, 4 years in Tennessee, and a guy trying to win a spot and doing well tonight.
LeBoy's going to take this inside move here against Chris Clark, young man who struggled a little bit last week in the game as well. And I think Tavares has seen enough of Travis LeBoy, who may well be earning some playing time with what he's doing out here tonight. A lot of good battles going on this football team. About 3 positions pretty well open for competition.
3rd down and 17. He'll keep it on the ground and give it to Gerhardt. And he'll take the ball across the 50-yard line and let the clock tick down even further. But the 49ers now at this point will take a timeout since they're going to get the football with 23 ticks remaining in the opening half. 7-3 49ers. Flag. Nobody is deep, and the ball will bound into the end zone. Did you ever notice on an interview you're always sitting down with somebody? You know, it's not like I stood up with Brett Favre last night. And
that was a great conversation, though, to listen in on.
Illegal formation. Number 50 of the kicking team was not on the line of scrimmage. Penalty will be 5 yards from the 20. First down, San Francisco.
Not often do you get to sit down with a grandfather quarterback. Mike Singletary with the sound check. Listen in.
So far, what I'm seeing is you reaching and grabbing just like in practice. I'm not seeing you strike people. The tackle over there on the sideline, you got to make that play, son. Now, I want to hear absolutely. You got to make the play.
And Wilhelm then comes back and he makes a play, but tipped it in the air and almost intercepted it. Matt Wilhelm, former Charger, 8th year in the league. Singletary's still going to call him son.
But he gets your attention on the sideline, doesn't he?
He does. Anthony Dixon, and he wants to hear it. He doesn't want to hear it just once. He wants to look into your eyes and know you mean it. Well, back to the big boys football right now as the second half of this game begins with Shane Andrus kicking off and fielded at the 1-yard line by Albert Young. And Young out past the 40-yard line, almost to midfield. The kicker makes the tackle, Andrews, but there's another flag now. There's been a flag on almost every kicking play in the first half and
during the return,
of the second.
Holding number 44 receiving team during the return. 10-yard penalty, first down.
It must be really hard to not hold on special teams. It just seems like you just see it all the time. Here we go, right here. Let's see if we can pick up the hold.
The Imperio.
Yeah, kind of grab him, I guess, by the outside shoulder. Once those arms get outside the framework of the body, they're going to call it. I think they call it a little more in preseason, too. They're going to be a little strict, try and send some messages, make you line up on the line of scrimmage, all that kind of stuff.
That had to be. Sage Rosenfels is now the quarterback. And he goes from 2 to 3. Toby Gerhardt is the ball carrier, and we go to Andrea Kramer. Andrea.
Well, Al, we expected to see Brett Favre for about 10 plays. He lasted only 4. I asked Brad Childress if the Patrick Willis sack is why he pulled Favre early, and he said, I didn't mind that hard hit as long as it was legal, which it was. And he also said Tavares Jackson, he wanted to see him with the first team the whole first half. As for Mike Singletary, he assessed Alex Smith's performance as a pretty decent job. He said he kept his composure, took another step, made all the throws he needed to make.
Thank you, Andrew. Smith was 9 out of 13 for 88 yards and led him on that first drive of the game that resulted in the game's only touchdown. Jeff Dugan, number 83, is the intended receiver here.
I don't think that legal hits thing had anything to do with the Saints hit that sprained Brett's ankle in the championship game, did you?
And gave him that thigh bruise, too.
Yeah, all those things. That was a pretty interesting part of the conversation, too, about whether or not Brett could have played in the Super Bowl the week after, obviously with the ankle, but he had a severe thigh bruise, too, that really gave him more problems than the ankle did.
3rd down and 11 at the 25-yard line. outside. That pass is incomplete. Intended for Mitchell. Phillip Adams, the coverage, and here is the hit on Favre early in the game.
May have been the play of the season, not that one, but he did take some hits early on. Sharper got him. They were definitely coming after him. Ding, there you go. But this is the one that got the ankle right there. And remember, that was with what, about a quarter to go in the game, something like that. They also got the severe thigh bruise out of, I believe, one of the fumbles.
Now Guillory sure-handedly pulls that one in and runs it back about 4 yards to the 41-yard line. So we'll see the 49ers with the ball for the first time in the second half. Well, that's the coaching lineage, as Mike Ditka was the head coach of the Chicago Bears for much of Mike Singletary's reign in Chicago as the middle linebacker, and that defense was run by Buddy Ryan, father of Rex. So when you look at that and you talk about fire and brimstone and toughness, you know where it comes from.
Well, the funny part about it was Mike was telling us that he threw Vernon Davis off the field in a famous incident a couple of years ago, and such a big deal was made out of it. He's like, that was nothing compared to what Ditka and Buddy Ryan used to do us. I didn't even think it'd make the paper. It was national news.
Now Nate Davis comes in to play quarterback, and Davis, who played his college ball at Ball State, gets taken down by Brian Robinson, coming around from his right end spot to take Davis down on Davis's first action of the night.
And Robinson gets a lot of playing time during the course of the regular season as well. A lot of times up on the top of your screen there, a lot of times he'll be in the nickel situation and they actually drop him out some. He can almost play like a linebacker. He's so athletic. And there you saw his ability to turn the corner and get the sack. They have a very deep defensive line. They go about 8 or 9 deep on this defensive line. I think without question, when you take them as a group, this is the best group in the NFL.
Pressure comes from up front. 48 sacks overall for that Viking D last year. 2nd and 21, and the backside screen will go nowhere because the rookie Dixon drops the ball. Speaking of the 85 Bears, another guy who was part of that defense is Leslie Frazier, who is the Vikings defensive coordinator. And he took over in that role when Mike Tomlin, who'd been there in Childress's first year, left to become, of course, the head coach at Pittsburgh. And Frazier's a guy who's always getting interviewed. He has been interviewed now for 7 head coaching jobs, including Seattle and Buffalo last year, but he's 0 for 7. Sooner or later, you got to think.
He's had way too much success. Mike Tomlin first, and then Frazier in behind him.
3rd and 21. And Davis throws, and that goes right through the hands of Ginn. Ted Ginn starting to turn and look upfield, and it's incomplete.
All right, neither one of those balls were easy. One was high, one was behind him, but you'd think at least one of the two you're going to make the catch. And watch the arm by Nate Davis. They told me Nate Davis has every bit the arm of anybody you're going to see. He zipped that one in there, and Ginn just didn't get his head around quite quick enough. What's behind him, tough catch, but again, possible.
Andy Lee, the short kick. Renaud from the 30 brings it back out to the 39. Another flag. What a shock. Too much discussion.
Unsportsmanlike conduct. Number 17 of the kicking team went out of bounds and did not make an immediate effort to come back inbounds. 15 yards will be enforced from the dead ball spot. First down. Timeout.
Ziegler. And we go to Andrea.
Thank you very much. Well, so how did the surgically repaired ankle hold up for you tonight, Brett?
Well, I don't know how many plays I had, 4 maybe.
4 plays.
It did okay. I don't know if we accomplished a whole lot, but you know, it's like last year when I came in against Kansas City, I didn't expect a whole lot. I really wanted to call plays in a game environment. Completed the first pass, a swing pass, which can be the hardest throw in football, and got hit a little bit, which I could have done without, but got to get it out of the way sometime.
Would you have liked to have played more?
I would have liked to, but I understand the situation. I do. San Francisco is a very good football team. Probably the worst I felt all year physically overall was against these guys last year. We were fortunate to win on the last play. They're a very physical, active football team, and their scheme puts a lot of one-on-one blocking on our offensive line. So I knew it would be that type of game, and really just kind of get in and get your feet wet.
Where are you now in terms of your preparation?
Well, from a mental standpoint, like in practice this week, I felt very comfortable. I know the offense. Really, it's just getting back adjusted to the guys. Game type situations, which it's hard to get those in practice. The best way to get them, but we're not going to get any 2-minute drills. We're probably not going to get a lot of situational stuff next week. You got to get that in practice, but I'd like to think that's where my experience will pay off. I'm not getting any younger, so I got to get a little sharper, and I don't know if that's possible.
Thursday, September 9th, our opener, you against the New Orleans Saints. What's it going to be like for you to walk back into the Superdome, especially as the Saints raise their championship banner?
Well, you know, and as we talked the other night, there's no ill feelings towards them. You know, they won the football game. And I mean, I've played a long time, and that happens. I mean, I want to win the football game, and hopefully we do. It will be a tough contest, as it was last year. But it's a different game in that it's one out of 16. Regardless, we play the next week, and the same goes for those guys. That was a different situation last year. And the better team won last year. And, you know, we made a lot of mistakes. They capitalized on it. They won the football game. So, you know, I don't know what else to say. I mean, we hope that we can win this football game because they don't get any easier after that.
All right, Brett, thanks very much, and we'll look forward to seeing you on opening night.
Okay, thank you, Andrea, and we'll see you in 18 days. And San Francisco has the ball, and Singletary scared the hell out of Guillory to the point that Guillory made a fair catch at the 3-yard line, but he made sure he caught the ball.
He did catch it.
Yeah, well, the 49ers have the ball here, and there are the stats in the NFC Championship game last year. 5 turnovers for Minnesota, and if there's one thing that jumps out, that would be it. Davis out of the end zone, and the catch is made up at the 10-yard line by Nate Byam.
I'll tell you, one of the interesting things that you talked with Brett about the other night that I'd never heard before, he was on the plane flying back from that championship game, obviously just beat up as he could possibly be, totally depressed because he threw that interception across his body. It's been talked about for more than a year. But he said on the flight home, there was just a steady stream of players walking back to his spot on the plane and saying, thank you, Brett. You know, thanks for coming back. Thanks for what you did this year. And he went from feeling like I'm never playing again to at that moment going, you know what, this is a special group of guys.
And a lot of that at the end probably made the difference. Davis going deep downfield, and Ginn gets free and is able to make the catch on a 3rd and 2 from his own 11-yard line. It's Ted Ginn with 2 defenders back there with him, working the sideline, getting to the outside, and Davis with a very powerful arm got it there.
Oh my goodness, this looked like John Elway throwing this ball. Here we go, from the goal line, 50, 65 yards. That was a shot. And Ted Ginn, he's thinking, oh, catch it, catch it, catch it, catch it, catch it, catch it. Wide open. There you go. Big plays, that's what they're looking for. They're trying to push it down the field.
60-yard gain and 65 in the air. And now moving through the middle and finding a little bit of a crease is Anthony Dixon. Nate Davis, the number 3 quarterback, and he was the number 3 guy last year, was inactive for every game. Played his college football in Indiana at Ball State. He came out early, and it's funny, he had a pro day at Ball State, and only one team showed up.
Yeah, and that's not good for the MAC Offensive Player of the Year 2 straight years. I mean, this guy has a track record, and he was good last week. In that game, he got in for one drive, took him right down the field, and scored a touchdown.
That one team, by the way, was not the 49ers. The Colts took a look at him because it was a short drive from Indianapolis to Muncie. And then the 49ers wound up picking him in the 5th round in the 09 draft.
And I tell you, Al, it's not a done deal that David Carr is the backup quarterback here. I mean, they are getting him in early in the second half for a reason. They want to look at Nate Davis, and can he compete with Carr out there? So this is a serious moment for this young man.
Third and 1. A little over 8 to play. Third quarter. 49ers scored on the game's opening drive. And Dixon. Anthony Dixon seeing a ton of action. Saw a lot of action last week in Indianapolis as the 49ers won that game against the Colts. And tonight that's his 15th carry.
I love 49er football sometime. Double team here. Power. Fullback's going to come in here and kick out. And look at the feet this time by Anthony Dixon. Quick jump, little stop, go get the first down. Impressive run. Very athletic guy, 245 pounds with feet like that.
Halfway mark of the third quarter. And timeout taken here. 7-3 49ers. After the timeout, but who knows someday. Anthony Dixon tackled by Abdullah, and again a Mike on Mike Singletary.
Hey, young gun, look at here now. Let's go.
Yes, sir.
Okay, let's see
Yes,
what
sir.
you got now.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Pretty quick. Let's go.
There you go.
That's what he did.
That's what he did. Say let's go, he goes. That was a big time throw.
And now he's trying to culminate a long drive that began back at the 3-yard line. 87 yards, 7 plays. That was the big one you just saw there. And Davis now, and breaking off the pattern, he threw it to the outside to the back corner of the end zone, and Ginn was cutting across the goal line. 3rd and 4.
Well, one of the questions about Anthony Dixon has been, can he pick up the passing game? Can he make the blocks? Check him out right here. Going to step up there against Aaron Henderson and make a block. May have been a little bit of a read blitz. He may have had him in coverage there. And they said he was so bad early on in practice with his blocking. He just kept like running into the quarterback, going to try and make his blocks, and they were making everybody crazy. But you can see he continues to grow in his development.
From the gun, 3rd down, 4. And that one will be thrown out of the back of the end zone, intended for Ziegler. So the drive bogs down, and the 49ers will settle for a field goal.
Well, kind of interesting there. I guess that's the right thing to do. You've got a 3rd down and 4 and nobody open. You throw it out of the back of the end zone a couple of times in a row. Maybe in that situation you try and make that blitzer miss and go run, pick it up. But at least he's taking the conservative route, and I can tell you with Mike Singletary, that works. He does not believe in turnovers.
28-yard attempt for Joe Medney, still at the top of his game in his 15th season. And that one is good to make the lead 10-3. Tony Dungy in the booth when we come back. Our man for all seasons from Football Night in America, Mr. Tony Dungy, racking up the frequent flyer mileage, are you not?
We're getting some mileage.
I'll bet you are.
Coming from east to west.
We're all getting some mileage on us these days.
In more ways than one. We're going to talk to Tony about a lot of the stuff going on around the league as the 49ers kick off after taking a 10-3 lead. And this is Albert Young, who will bring the ball back up to the 24-yard line. Tony, you made news this week. You didn't mean to, but you were asked about Rex Ryan on Hard Knocks and the fact that you thought he was swearing too much and the commissioner should step in. And then Rex talked about having a conversation with you man to man. Now, he didn't cuss you out when you talked to him, right?
No,
what was that
we
about?
talked on the telephone, and it was a good conversation. I told him, it wasn't anything personal. I was saying they asked me about my feelings about profanity, and I'm not a big fan of it, whether it comes from Rex Ryan or anyone else.
You guys are okay now, right?
Oh, no, we were always okay. I'm just not okay with the profanity. I think especially as a leader, leading a football team or anything, I just don't think it is necessary.
Well, and to some extent, it was something the league decided to put on. And I would imagine that probably was part of the issue for you as well.
It really was. We've talked a lot about the image and our players and personal conduct, and then to have something like that. And I had a lot of Jets fans who love Rex Ryan, who said it was hard to watch, and especially with their kids. And I think that's something the league ought to be aware of.
Yeah, I agree with you. I will say in Rex's defense that, and you know this to be true too, when you step on the football field sometimes, it's like an out-of-body experience. Like you have to make yourself borderline insane to just survive out there on the field. And I've done and said some things on the football field that would totally embarrass me if anybody saw them. But I wouldn't want them signed off on to be put on national television. It's within the fight sometimes things happen.
Yeah, no, we all have, said things out there we wish we could take back. That was one of the reasons I never allowed myself to be mic'd up. Because you
even
don't
slipped up every once in a while?
I did a couple times, yeah, and it's not something you're proud of.
Right now, 3rd down and 3 for Minnesota with Rosenfels, the quarterback. And can they convert? And no, they cannot. Intended for Small. We're going to talk to you in just a second, Tony, about Brett Favre and what has transpired here. But Minnesota's going to punt. And then after the punt and after the penalty on the punt, and
you think we might have a penalty?
And after the commercial, we're going to talk to you about Brett Favre. So I want you to start thinking about it right now.
You're thinking we're going to have a penalty here.
I'm thinking it's like 92%. Here's Kluey. So far, so good. Well, Guillory, and of course, there's a flag down now.
How did you know that?
Well, you know what? It's about the 4th football game I've ever seen. And I just noticed that this kind of happens a lot in preseason.
During the kick, holding, number 47 of the receiving team. 10-yard penalty from the end of the kick. 1st down, timeout.
That's Britt Miller. Okay, we'll find out what Tony thinks about Favre and a lot of other issues around the NFL when we come back. First down for the 49ers from the 16-yard line. Davis with a little spinorama, and Dixon makes the catch and a loss of 3. Tony, I'm curious as to what you thought about what Brad Childress did. He went down to Hattiesburg. Brett Favre said no. Then he sends 3 guys down with the search and rescue mission, the Band of Brothers. How do you look at that?
Well, you have to know your team, and I think Brad Childress read his team. They wanted Brett Favre back, whatever it was going to take. I would have been hesitant to send 3 guys and say, hey, miss practice. Practice is not as important as getting this guy back. But he knows his team, and from talking to those guys, it was a rallying point. They're excited to have him back.
Brad Childress said you can't win the lottery unless you buy a ticket. He was buying his ticket with those 3 guys.
That's Davis hitting Nate Byam, the rookie tight end out of Pittsburgh. Now, you might have sent 3 guys if it was Peyton Manning down there in Louisiana or Mississippi, right?
I might have sent 3 guys on an off day. I don't know if I'd have let anybody miss practice.
He might have left 3 guys home and sent the rest of the teams what he probably would have done at that point. Hey, what do you think about this kid, Nate Davis? I know you've seen him play at Ball State quite a bit.
I saw Nate Davis play. He's an excellent player. He's a leader. He made things happen in the MAC conference, and I'm impressed tonight. He's playing very well.
From the 30-yard line on 1st down, here's Davis again, and he swings it out to Caldrick from Michigan State, gain of about 4. Tony, one of the stories, of course, that's going to evolve through the year is the labor unrest issue. Who knows if it's going to get settled, and who knows when it's going to get settled. Do you think that this, you and I were actually talking about this in the truck before the game, how might this play out during this season?
I think you'll see it have an impact at the end of the year. If it hasn't been established what's going to happen, you'll have guys start to worry where's my career? What's happening with this? And the teams that handle it best are going to be the teams that win, I think.
Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, some big guys without long-term contracts, and I'm sure it's all related, right?
It is, and you've heard it already from several teams. Hey, we would take care of this, but we don't know where the collective bargaining agreement is going to be. And I thought in 82 and 87, the 2 strike years we had, Washington Redskins won both years, and I don't think it was a coincidence. Joe Gibbs, I thought, handled that situation better than anyone else, kept his team focused on what winning was all about and not all the distractions.
And with those replacement players, they had teams ready to play. I mean, we came out, we were 1-1 with the regular players. Our replacement players went 0-3. We're out of the race. Our season's over by the time we got back.
They had planned for it.
Well, here's Davis planning for a first down if he can get there, and he's going to be very close.
But the other thing I thought those Washington teams did, not only having the replacement players ready, but having the veteran group say, hey, we're in this together.
Right.
We're going to be tight, and winning is important.
Bottom line, yes or no, is there a lockout next year?
Well, I hope not, but I think there could be. Everything I'm hearing, it just doesn't sound good.
It seems to me like the owners are hunkering down for a long one if necessary, and I've even heard they're trying to flip-flop. The players are getting 60+% right now, and I think the owners are thinking they deserve that kind of a number.
And when you hear the talk about going to 18 games, as you know, the players are not going to be for that unless they get some more pay.
Davis tried to
charge timeout, San Francisco, 30-second timeout.
He did get the timeout. They picked up the flag. Timeout with 1:44 to go in the third. 10-7 San Francisco. (10-3) San Francisco. Late third. We've got Tony Dungy up in the booth. Tony, you're retired or on a sabbatical? I don't know, one of the two. So
retired.
Okay, retired for the moment. You've been looking at football as an observer now, as a screen to this side is caught by Coldrick. So what is, after all those years in football, you come away from it, you're looking at it from the outside in. What's struck you?
What I'm seeing is how much a difference leadership on a football team makes, the organization. It's not the teams with the most talent, but you see the teams that are focused and can avoid the distractions. That's who's winning.
That was something I would think you would know when you were coaching too.
You always know it, but I think you're always looking for talent. You're looking for that next guy. He's going to put us over the top. And what you see when you're out of it and not in the middle of the fray is how much just the organization and being on the same page is important.
Davis was on the same page with the rookie Byam at that point, but so was the defensive back Terrell Johnson.
Watch this pump fake here by Nate Davis. Watch him try and move the safety, Tony, and get this thing in. This looks like Peyton Manning doing one of these things. Watch this thing's a rocket shot.
No, he's doing some good things out there. I think San Francisco has to be pleased with not only his play but Alex Smith's play. They've gotten some good quarterback play tonight.
I've never seen anybody with reverse thigh pads on either. He's got him protecting his hamstring. Byam took a shot.
Byam still down, injury timeout. The rookie Byam just now sitting up, and the training staff with some smiles, so he's going to be all right as we take another look at the shot he took.
Tough as playing football. He really made the catch. He had stopped the football, but the hit's going to knock it out. And Tony, you well know that's what safeties are supposed to do right there.
And get that chance. Dislodge that ball. It was well done, and good to see him getting up.
I'll tell you, Terrell Johnson is trying to make a statement. He's in a battle for that safety position with Jamarcus Sanford and Hussein Abdullah.
And with a smile, Byam comes off the field. Again, Vernon Davis is the 49ers' #1 tight end. He's not playing tonight. Neither is Michael Crabtree, sprained neck. Frank Gore not playing tonight. So the 49ers on that first drive, impressive considering the fact that some of the key guys were either not playing or in civvies on the sideline. 2nd down and 10. Tony, Do you miss it enough that you might coach someday again?
I really do not, Al. I'm enjoying it. I got a chance to speak to a lot of my buddies with the Vikings. I got a chance to speak to Mike Singletary, but I didn't have any buzz, any itch to be out there.
2nd and 10. And caught over the middle. This time it's Ziegler trying to win a spot on the team. Under a minute now to go.
I don't know what else you have to see out of Nate Davis. This young man, his feet are quick. His release is quick. He's seeing the field. He's not hesitating, and he's got a rocket. He's got to talk to him about those thigh pads. That's the only thing I'm a little worried about.
And great decision making tonight. He has not put any balls in the wrong spot.
Delivery right over the top. Pretty pure.
7 out of 12 for 114 yards. And Dixon's been the guy, and that's going to probably take us to the end of the 3rd quarter. And if it does, Tony, you're relieved of duty.
All right.
You are done for the night.
I enjoyed it.
You can check out with a quarter to go, buddy.
Thank you. Good being with you.
That's it,
Okay.
Chief.
Tony Dungy. You'll see him on Football Night in America every Sunday night during the football season, beginning on the 12th night of September. San Francisco 10, Minnesota 3 as we end the 3rd quarter in San Francisco, and Sunday Night Football will continue after these messages from your local NBC station. Nate Davis trying to earn a spot on the team, trying to, if he can, move into the number 2 spot, and so far so good for him tonight. As you look at Smith, who's done for the night, obviously, and Carr, who may get in, but we don't know at this particular point. Maybe they'll just wait for the next outing next weekend.
Well, and those rookie offensive linemen are still in the ball game. They're going to make sure Nate Davis has a little help out there, and it's paid off.
And Mr. Dixon with his 19th carry of the night. Al Michaels, Chris Collinsworth, Andrea Kramer, our final preseason telecast, and back with you on the 9th night of September in New Orleans, where Brett Favre will lead the Vikings against the Super Bowl champion Saints.
Can you imagine the scene when they raise the banner in New Orleans? We've had the good fortune of being there for a few of those moments, and
right,
gives you chills.
Third and 3. Penalty. Ball loose. Vikings come up with it for the moment, and going the other way is Cook, Chris Cook, and he's going to go all the way, but let's see about the flag. The penalty marker came in as the play was developing before they gave up the football.
Well, it was thrown by the umpire on the backside.
Also, you're going to have a question as to whether it was a fumble or not. So you could also have a challenge if the call goes against the 49ers. It looks like he was down.
Yep. Your knees.
Holding number 77 of the offense. Penalties decline.
Penalties decline, but you'll probably see a challenge.
No doubt. It's already out there on the field.
Yep. Singletary's already got the flag out on the ground.
And Singletary's already coaching up Anthony Dixon, saying, don't you mess around with my football out there. You know, reaching, and you're trying to pick up the first down.
Runner fumbled.
Got lucky on that one.
They'll check it out, and we'll be back. So we're going to get the call here in a second. The 49ers should win this challenge. It's not his hand or his foot that's down. It's his buttock. Remember, I think John Madden wrote the book, 1 knee equals 2 feet.
What does one buttock equal?
1 tuchus equals 2 feet. Here comes the call.
May have equaled saving his job is what it may have equaled.
Well, before we have the call, Levy's going to go over to talk to Childress. And
so now they'll take the penalty.
Right,
on the
now
play.
they want, right, that's what he's doing, because they declined the penalty. But now that the result of the play will change, Now do you want to take the penalty or not?
You know what, though? It's going to be close to whether or not it was a first down or not, so that may weigh into it because it was third down. Upati there with the hold from the left guard position, got his arm out around the nose tackle.
After reviewing the play, the runner was down. San Francisco will not be charged a timeout. It's 4th down and 2 at the 13-yard line.
It's a nice job by Bill Levy picking up where the ball was down as well, short of the first down, so they declined the penalty.
See, it was 3rd and 3, and the gain was 2 yards, so he did not get the first down. That's going to make it 4th down and 2 now.
Chris Cook can't believe it. They took away his touchdown. Chris Cook in a battle with Antoine Winfield for the left cornerback position. He said Antoine Winfield was his idol growing up. And I go, really? I said, what did Winfield say when you told him that? He said, I haven't told him, man. No way. I just want him to be his teammate. I'm not going to suck up to the guy.
Word will filter back. 31-yard field goal attempt coming here for Nedney. And Joe boots that one through. His second three-pointer of the night, and that puts the 49ers up on top 13-3. (13-3) is the score. 49ers are on top by 10. A minute into the 4th quarter as Albert Young takes it from the 10 back out to the 30-yard line. Mr. Rodney Harrison spent 15 seasons playing in the National Football League, part of our stellar cast, along with Tony Dungy and Bob Costas and Dan Patrick and the guys on Football Night in America. What's on your mind tonight, sir?
First of all, you had no idea what I had to go through just to get here. They need a new stadium because the elevator broke, and good luck when you try to get back down. And I had to run up about 10 stairs.
Well, as Howard Cosell once said, this stadium is a monument to political chicanery.
Yeah.
Somebody whispered that in his ear, but he said it. Anyway, here's on your mind. Let's find out what's on Rodney's mind tonight. Teams to watch. The Jets and the Cowboys. Now, the Jets are a team to watch, and Rex Ryan's going to make sure you watch them.
Oh, you know what? I love Rex Ryan, and I love his personality, his attitude. I talked to LaDainian Tomlinson a couple weeks ago, and he told me it's just his energy, his emotion is contagious. But the one thing that I'm afraid of with Rex Ryan is all the trash talk that he's doing right now. And it's one thing if a player does it, Chris, but if a coach does it, it really gives you that added motivation. And the Jets have to remember, they got the Baltimore Ravens and they got the New England Patriots. They will start 0-2.
Now, you don't think that they're paying any attention to what he's saying in New England, do you? That's not on the bulletin board or anything like that up there.
Oh, no question. Brady, Moss, Welker, and all those guys, they're flying under the radar right now, and this is a perfect situation for them because Rex Ryan and the Jets are taking all the attention, and this is perfect situation for Belichick and the boys.
I wonder where Rex learned that from. Buddy didn't give a damn what he said to anybody.
But one thing about Rex, I mean, you got to love him, especially as a defensive coordinator. The guy, he lets his guys go. They love the way he's aggressive. They love his attitude. They love his personality.
That locker room and that practice field is a lot like the pickup basketball game. They're all talking trash, the coaches, but it's fun. I mean, when you go in the building, everybody's laughing. Everybody's having a good time. It's not like there's this cloud of doom that can hang over some franchises, you know. He wants them to have fun with it.
Meanwhile, this is the rookie quarterback in right now, Joe Webb, who played at the University of Alabama, Birmingham, and has a good arm and great feet. Take a look at this.
They say that this young man is the best athlete on the team. Watch this. He is going to be almost impossible to get on the ground. He is big, he is quick, he can really run, has a size 11 hand. I know that means nothing, but look at the way his hand envelops that football. He's just a remarkable athlete, and they think that he could still play quarterback. They kind of drafted him as an athlete, going to put him at receiver, and then one day during the course of the spring drills, they saw him just throwing the football around, and they were like, we got to give this guy a chance to throw the football and play quarterback some. So here he is now. They've left him at quarterback. They're giving him an opportunity, and he's got some credentials from the college ranks.
You can see what he did in college at the University of Alabama, Birmingham. But the question right now is, what do you do with him? And I guess what you do with him, if Favre obviously is going to be one. They're going to keep Jackson. So who's the guy on the bubble? Is it Rosenfels? Webb is trying to win a shot.
I'll tell you what you do with him. You put him on kickoff team, and you let him run down there and bust up a wedge. And if he really wants to make the team, he'll make a couple tackles.
Right. Or you put him in the stands like the Patriots did with Brady when he first came into the league, right?
Yeah. Only a defensive back could talk about putting a quarterback on the kickoff team.
If he wants to make the team, anything that makes the team. If you're a football player, you can play quarterback. You can definitely play wimpy wide receiver. You can play any position.
You're unbelievable. Now, not anybody would have heard this across America, but we were sitting there, we were talking with Tony, and they threw that little skinny post in there where Byam got hit pretty hard on that one, and I can hear you over everybody down there yelling, "Kill him," weren't you?
You know what? It was an opening. As a defensive back, you look for those type of shots. Unfortunately, the guy got hurt a little bit, but he walked off and he's fine.
You can't help yourself.
Ball bounds in to the end zone. Byam with the wind knocked out of him. That's the official update. Get Rodney's take on the Cowboys on the other side of the break. Ten and a half minutes to go in the fourth quarter in San Francisco. In the twilight as the 49ers have the ball at the 20-yard line. Nate Davis, the quarterback. Michael Robinson is the new back. Sound check right now. Check in with Mike Singletary.
Hey, Nate, you can't die out like that. You could have caught him with 2 more steps.
Nah,
come on, man. Just go ahead and keep running.
Hey, he started breaking away. I had to reach for him. I had to reach for him.
2 more steps. You got him. Come on, you can't give up on that.
Huh?
You can't give up on that. You were right there with him.
But listen, I didn't want to give up. If I'd have kept on going, he'd have passed me up, and I didn't die. I didn't make no effort.
Don't you miss it?
Well, there's the guy, Rodney, trying to make the team any way he can.
I don't miss it at all.
That's what you're talking about. Quarterbacks making tackles and making plays. At least he was down the field, right?
Oh, you love it. You love the effort.
How about them Cowboys?
Oh, I like the Cowboys. I got a chance to spend a few days down there training camp with them, Chris, and this is a different Dallas Cowboy team. And not necessarily physically, but just their mentality, their attitude is totally different. I talked to Jason Witt and Tony Romo, and none of those guys talked about the talent that they had or individuals. They talked about teamwork and attitude and doing the small things, and I think that's going to triculate to some big things. I think they're going to end up in the Super Bowl.
Jerry Jones put you under a spell, didn't he?
No, he didn't. I didn't get a chance to really hang out with Jerry Jones, but I like that Crabtree. He looks really good down there.
What'd you think of Des Bryant? Get a chance to look at him?
Oh, Des Bryant. I'm sorry, I said
right.
Crabtree. Des Bryant, terrific work ethic, young guy, great personality. Got a chance to sit down and spend some time with him. Just a phenomenal young kid, a guy that works extremely hard and didn't miss a ball the entire 2 or 3 days I was down there.
They've got some issues on that offensive line, though, up front. There are a couple of guys banged up now, and they're not very deep there at all. Let Flozell go, so they can't afford any more injuries up there. I think Colombo out, Kozar was nicked up.
But the most important position is healthy, and that's Tony Romo.
You have a 6 a.m. flight. Go to sleep. Sleep fast, would you?
Thank you so
Rodney
much.
Harrison.
Good to see
you.
Rodney
You're worn down.
Football night, a couple of weeks. Back in a moment. Brett Favre played 4 plays tonight. First 4 plays of the game. Completed a pass for a first down to Adrian Peterson. Got sacked. And then came out of the game after just those 4 plays and a punt. And we saw Tavares Jackson. We saw Rosenfels. And now we're down to Webb. And that pass is incomplete. So Brett figures to play a little bit more in the upcoming game next week. Next Saturday night against Seattle at home. Last year, 33 touchdowns, the most since '97, over 4,000 yards, career high in yards per pass, career high in passer rating, and completed better than 2 of every 3, and only 7 interceptions. So as he said when we talked to him last night and played the interview at halftime, I mean, in the prime of his career. You can't duplicate something like that. So the question now becomes, you know, Chris, you know what I'm thinking about of all crazy things, and it's the last thing Childress or Favre wants to think about, but let's say he really does look 40, and let's say the ankle becomes a problem, and let's say the Vikings, who have a really tough schedule, get off to a not very good start, 2-3, 1-4, then what?
I ride Brett Favre until I've been eliminated from the playoffs, and what he did last year was incredible. I mean, he missed training camp with a new team, comes in, has the best year of his career. Hopefully it gets a little better protection than that.
Right, that's Webb with Darrell Briggs coming in to sack him.
Well, Briggs going to come right off the edge and working against Chris Clark, and again, Clark allows him to get underneath him, and that's not what you want to see if you're protecting somebody as valuable as Brett Favre. But it was interesting, Al, talking about the fear of failure that Brett had. You know, we heard it from Jerry Rice in the Hall of Fame speech as well, and here's two of the greatest players of all time, and that fear of failure was very real for both of them.
Guillory brings it back up to the 20-yard line. Robinson. Speaking of Mike Singletary, one more sound check.
Hey, you potty. Stop holding out there. Yeah. They say it was you. You're going to have to go to confession. That was you. Stop holding.
He said, he was talking about it. He said, I treat these guys like I would treat my own kid. I coach them just like I coached him. And I don't know if he would think it was such a good idea. I think his son was glad to see him go on to the NFL ranks for a little while.
Mike has 7 kids. They range in age from 12 to 24. Remember, he retired from football, and then he didn't coach for 11 years. I mean, he was in consulting and doing some ministerial work and a few other things, and just being a dad. He said it was too important to me and to my wife to raise those 7 kids. So he spent 11 years out of football. And then he said we all sat down and we prayed, and we were told that coaching was what we had to get back into.
And his wife actually made the decision. You know, Mike had kind of put it off, and his wife said, we're supposed to be in coaching.
And that pass is contested and not held on to. Jason Hill was the intended receiver, and the coverage was very tight, and the pass is incomplete.
It's going to be pretty interesting to see what happens with the wide receiver position now for the 49ers. Josh Morgan, Jason Hill, a couple of veteran guys that have been around for a while, but Dominic Ziegler, the free agent from back in 0-7, is now the guy that they're talking about being that third receiver. They were hoping Michael Crabtree would be able to work into the slot and get some action in there, but his injury has really prevented him from working towards that, so now they're not real sure what they're going to do.
Marcus Sherrills broke up the last play. Here's a punt fielded at the 21-yard line by Renaud. And Renaud tries to bust free and takes it back up to the 35 with 7 minutes to play, and we go to Andrea.
Thank you very much, Al. Well, I have to admit, it still looks funny to see Brian Westbrook in red and not green after 8 years in Philadelphia, but you had interest from other teams, the Rams, the Redskins, could have been back with Donovan, and of course the Broncos. Why did you choose the Niners?
Well, I really respect Coach Singletary. I think he's a great man. He's a man of great faith, so I definitely appreciated that. And I knew this was a young team that had a lot of talent, and you've seen a lot of the young talent displayed here tonight, and I'm excited about what we're going to be able to do.
How much would you have liked to have been with Donovan in Washington?
Well, it would have been nice if it would have worked out. It would have been a great story, but at the same time, it didn't work out. And, now for me, my major focus is to be the best 49er I can be.
After 8 years in one system, how challenging is it for you to learn a new one here?
Oh, it's tough. It's tough because, you know, the terminology is totally different, the words, everything is totally different. And so for me, it's just tough to try to learn everything in a short amount of time, and you're coming in the middle of it, and that's the hardest part. But I'll learn it. I will.
What do you think your role is going to be? Because obviously they lost Glenn Coffey, but Anthony Dixon has shown some promise. What do you think you will do for the Niners?
No, Anthony has looked very good. You know, of course, Frank is the man. Anytime that Frank needs a rep off, a play off, anything like that, I'll be willing to go in and you know, be ready to play. Whenever they call my number, I'll be ready to play.
Now, not intentionally, obviously, but you sort of became the poster boy for concussions. You had 2 major ones last year. How is your health? What concerns remain?
Well, you know, as far as concerns, I don't have any concerns. I've talked to all the doctors. They definitely have cleared me. And so for me, just go out there and play football. That's my number one concern.
Now, don't mean this is a shameless promo for Sunday Night Football, but October 10th, it just happens that the Eagles will be visiting. What will that be like for you, do you think?
It'll be a little weird, but at the same time, it's just another football game for me. But to go against an old team that you've been with for your whole career, it'll be exciting, but also a little weird at the same time.
Thanks so much. We'll look forward to seeing you then.
Thank you.
Thank you, Andrew. Promos are never shameless.
You know, we watched Brian Westbrook in practice the other day, and he looked pretty good. You know, he'd come off an ankle and a knee injury the year before, and of course everybody talks about the concussions, but that seemed to impact him a little bit last season. So now, because of the concussions, he essentially had the second half of the year off, and just watching him run around, he looked young. And if Brian Westbrook can play anywhere close to what he did in Philadelphia, he's going to give them a weapon, maybe a third down guy, great screen player, but he won a lot of football games by himself over there with the Eagles.
Catch is made here by Garrett Mills, who had a big day in their first preseason game last week at St. Louis. Westbrook came out of Villanova. Andy Reid used to watch him play in college because he was in the neighborhood. And, of course, that stellar 9-year career there. I would have thought, you know, as Andrea brought it up, how tempting was it to go to Washington and get reunited with McNabb. Not only that, his brother plays for the Redskins as well. So he could have been at home with his brother, at home with McNabb, and in a Mike Shanahan offense. That had to be tempting.
But, you know, there was an immediate role for him here because of what was going on with Glenn Coffey.
Right. And that just developed last week, and Freddie Brown is out of bounds as Taylor Mays, the good-looking rookie second-round draft choice out of USC, provided the coverage on the play.
Yeah, and they're going to like this in San Francisco. A big roar went up from the crowd. Right here is Taylor Mays, one of the great athletes to come out in the draft last year. Watch him turn and run on this one. He's going to get there right at the perfect time. At USC, Al, it was kind of a weird situation. They play their safeties like 23 yards deep, and so the 49ers didn't have much of a feel for how physical he was going to be as a player. I think you saw a little bit of it right there.
And that catch is made by Ian Johnson. Anytime you take a look at an SC guy playing in the secondary for San Francisco, all you think about is 42, Ronnie Lott.
Which made me think of Duck.
Meanwhile, Ian Johnson, who just made that last catch, remember, he was the kid in that incredible, and there is the homage to Lott. Johnson was the kid in that incredible Oklahoma Boise State game, making the crazy play at the end and then getting down on bended knee and proposing to his cheerleader girlfriend after the play, and they got married.
Ain't love grand.
3rd and 2. And here's Johnson again. Asked for the hand of one Chrissy Papadix. And Chrissy became Chrissy Johnson.
You don't propose for first downs, though, only if you beat Oklahoma, right?
Right. The Statue of Liberty plays and all kinds of crazy
what
stuff.
A game that was, though. Just one of those sort of magical moments, and then that was the exclamation point on the tail end of it.
Just when you thought you'd seen everything, there was more to come. From the 17. And once again, Ian Johnson. Funny, Adrian Peterson in that game was on the other sideline.
Yeah, he probably doesn't have quite as fond of memories of that one. Of course, things worked out right for Adrian Peterson since then. A great kid, isn't he? Got a chance to visit with him, and the thing that really impressed me about Adrian Peterson was that he owned up. You know, the controversial fumble, whose fault was it, Brett Favre or his down the goal line? He said, my fault all the way, so do not blame Brett.
The Imperial makes the catch there. Now, the only people who would blame Brett is the Elias Sports Bureau. And not that they're blaming Brett, but you know what? When a quarterback hands the ball off to a running back, the fumble gets charged to the quarterback.
The last one that had possession of the football gets credit for it. But Adrian Peterson wanted to make it very clear that it was his. Pretty good combination, those two last year.
And you've got Briggs, who's down on one knee, so he needs some attention from the 49ers staff with 4:09 remaining in the fourth quarter. So the 49ers, if they hold on, would go to 2-0 in preseason for whatever that means. And the 49ers will look ahead to opening day for them this year is at Seattle. So Pete Carroll will make his Seahawk debut at home against San Francisco.
Yeah, and there's some interesting things coming up for the 49ers. Brea Franklin, the nose tackle, who many of these guys talked about as being the key to the defense, has been holding out a training camp. But there are good battles going on. Manny Lawson, Ahmad Brooks battling for an outside linebacker position. Taylor Mays, who we just saw, against Michael Lewis. That is still an open competition. And Isaac Sopoaga against Ray McDonald. That one's still an open competition. So these last couple of preseason games still key for this 49ers defense.
3rd and 6 at the 13. '49ers had only 10 guys on the field as this play developed, and they get away with it. Ray Small was the intended receiver.
Well, here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and they still won.
There you go.
So happy I got to use that on the telestrator. I've never used that one yet.
First time?
Yeah. I've got another one that's really cool that shows the quarterback vision going on it. So if we get one where he's looking back and forth, it's preseason. Maybe I can work that in too.
It goes to 12 as well, right?
Greg Minuski.
4th and 6. Webb. And that is broken up. Phillip Adams, rookie from South Carolina State, drafted in the 7th and final round. And there is a flag down.
Phillip Adams has had a nice night. It's about his 3rd play so far in this game. And he almost turned that one into 6 points for the 49ers. Tell you, in this league, you better not stare down a receiver. You're going to pay a heavy price for it. Nice turn. He made a really nice cut on that one.
After the pass was incomplete, personal foul, late hit, number 48 of the offense. 15-yard penalty. San Francisco takes over, 1st down.
Well, there you go. You're going to see Phillip Adams out there at the corner, top of your screen. Watch this cut on the ball. He just saw the quarterback's eyes all the way, Joe Webb. And there was the late hit on the tail end of it. No question. But that is at least the 3rd or 4th play that he's been right there. And
it'll be half the distance to the goal. San Francisco will keep the ball, 1st down.
Mike Balligan, number 48, a rookie from Oklahoma.
And with William James out of the secondary, he's got an ankle injury that he got last week. Who knows? I'm sure they're looking for somebody that can play. Phillip Adams might be the guy now.
Meanwhile, the rookie Balligan, I think, is trying not to have to pass by Mike Singletary on the way back to the bench.
Yeah, you remember the whole Vernon Davis thing with the late penalty, and he got thrown off the field.
But it turned it around for him. For Davis from the 7-yard line. Michael Robinson takes it up to the 10-yard line.
fashion show or something over there. Mike Florio does a great job with that pro football talk.
Absolutely.
He really does. I mean, you can go on that site, click off it for 1 second, click back on, he's got a new post on it.
From the mountains of West Virginia.
He's good. He was good an attorney. He really understands all that collective bargaining. He's done a great job explaining it to all of us. Well, what do you think? Minnesota Vikings, Brad Childress, where would you place them this year? The Saints got to be there. A lot of people like the Cowboys.
Sure. I mean, those three teams, and the Packers. I mean, you got to.
Yeah, it's a good point.
You got to give the Packers
Vikings
a great chance.
Had 2 wins over the Packers last year, and that was really the difference in that division.
Right.
And Brett was unbelievable in the division. The numbers he put up within that division and against the Packers really swung it their way.
I don't think you overlook Atlanta either. You know, the Falcons had a disappointing year last year, but with Matt Ryan, there was Brett against the NFC North.
Look at that.
Yeah, 15 TDs, no interceptions. That only loss was
a shootout
at Chicago.
Yeah, that works. I think Brett can do that one more time. There's Steve Hutchinson, who was on the recruiting trip. Said he was the bad cop down there. He was like, get on the plane, Brett.
3rd and 6. And running with the ball is Davis. Close to a first down. Championship moments. New York, Pittsburgh. That was in New England in 06. Indianapolis. It's the opener, and it's become a tradition now in the NFL over the last few years to open up in the home stadium of the Super Bowl champions. Hoist the banner, crowd goes crazy, and we're going to have a scene like that in New Orleans 2 weeks from Thursday night.
I'm 51 years old, and seeing that stuff still gives me chills. I wonder if you ever totally get over it or not. I still get fired up for the start of this stuff.
I'm 37, it still gives me chills.
Definitely not going to shoot your age, then.
Maybe on the front. Lee's kick is fielded at the 45-yard line by Darius Renard. 2.5 minutes to play in the 4th quarter.
I'll tell you, the West is going to be interesting as well. As beautiful moon overhead, but Kurt Warner out, Matt Leinart in, and Ken Wisenhunt, does he now go to a little bit more of the Pittsburgh Steelers run first? You know, he's been acquiring blocking tight ends over the past few years, and it's going to be interesting to see how that team looks and any changes they have.
Beanie Wells, a lot of people expect him to have a big year, the running back, because you still have Larry Fitzgerald. A lot of ways they can beat you. This is Ryan Moats, a former Philadelphia Eagle, played there when Westbrook was there as a backup back. And this might take us, well, down to the 2-minute warning, but then again, it might not.
A lot of drama here.
Yes, sir. On 2nd and 7, Webb. And Webb's going to take off, and Webb splits the seam, and he will take us to the 2-minute warning with a touchdown.
And a dance. Look at Brett. He said quarterbacks aren't supposed to run 4-4. I mean, this young man, we told you about him. He's just a great athlete. He's going to see a little running lane here and just take off. They drafted him as an athlete, as a wide receiver, and you can see why. Big, strong, and fast. Not very polished as a passer yet, but definitely one of those guys. They're going to find a way to keep him around. He has too many skills. Maybe Rodney's right. Maybe they do stick him on the kickoff return team or kickoff team.
Reese Lloyd for the extra point. And Mr. Webb has made it close. 13-10, 2-minute warning. Three-point game. So you would expect that Minnesota will try an onside kick here. They only have one timeout remaining, so the 49ers, if they can get the ball and get possession of the ball, can use up a good portion of the remaining time with 1:54. So Lloyd will try to spin it, pop it, and the 49ers are going to recover it. As that's Jason Hill making the recovery. Here's Andrea.
Thank you very much, along with Alex Smith. Now, Mike Singletary told me at halftime you made great strides from last week. On the first drive even, 5 of 6 with 59 yards, 12-play drive. What did that do for your confidence level and to set you up for the rest of the half?
I mean, obviously it was great to come out and start that fast. That's something that has kind of been a point of emphasis for us all offseason. We struggled with it at times last year, getting behind early, and it was great to see the tempo out of the guys up front, really setting the tempo for us. And then we had a couple big third-down conversions, and then finished it. So it was a great way to start off. Obviously, we'd like to get a couple more there. We had some good field position, but it was a nice start.
Where do you assess where your game is? Because so much talk about how, as this team goes, Alex Smith goes.
Yeah. For me, it's not looking into all that. It's just playing good quarterback ball, making good decisions, making my reads, not let the game get too big, just staying within myself and going out there and doing what's asked of me. Because that's what playing quarterback is, I think. Being accurate, throwing the ball where it's supposed to go, read and react. And so, felt good about it tonight. Saw the defense well. We did some good things. So.
Alan, Chris, were talking earlier, 5 offensive coordinators in 5 seasons.
Yeah.
What is the significance to you of finally having some continuity with a coordinator 2 seasons in a row?
Really, it's the foundation that's been in place. I think when you've had that foundation over the last year, now we're able to start building on top of it, where in the past, you'd really build that foundation and never get a chance to do anything with it. So, this offseason was one of the best offseasons I've been a part of. We were able to get a lot done and take it into camp as well. So.
Alex, thanks for your time. We appreciate it.
Andrew, thank you.
All right, thank you, Andrew. The Vikings have spent their last time out. And this is Michael Robinson taking the ball to the 39-yard line, and the 49ers can take that clock down to about a minute. So the 49ers, again, Chris, no winning season since 02. 2 really phenomenal decades, obviously. The 80s with Walsh, and then Seifert came in, and Mariucci did a pretty good job. They won the 5 Super Bowls between 81 and 95.
Yeah, I know. I played in 2 of those.
Yes, you did. Yeah, you
on the other side of those.
You bookended your career with these against the 49ers. But what do you see from them this year?
Well, it's going to be interesting, and Alex Smith played awfully well tonight. My big question, and I think San Francisco's big question, is going to be, how soon can this young offensive line come together? Mike Iupati, Anthony Davis, Eric Heitman has been out. And as good as they can look at times now, Al, you know as well as I do, when you get to be the regular season, it goes beyond graduate school. I mean, you're over at Oxford studying at that point. And now can these young guys, and they made some mistakes out there tonight. I mean, we watched them pretty closely and just trying to figure it out. It's not that physically they can't get it done, but if those 2 guys and this young offensive line and Alex Smith can find a way to get their protections going, because that was a major issue for them a season ago, not get Alex Smith hit so much, they have a chance, because their defensive running game is going to be rock solid.
Right, defense very good. If they can live up to what they did last year, that's great for them. And again, a lot of the parts are there. You've got a premier running back in Gore. You've got a great tight end in Vernon Davis. You got an emerging wide receiver in Crabtree. So, I mean, you've got, a running back, a tight end, a #1 wideout. And, again, it comes back very much to Alex Smith. How's he going to play?
Yeah, it really does. And when you look at them defensively, they tied for 3rd in the NFL in sacks, and nobody had more than 6.5 on the team, which is unbelievable to me, which means that they're bringing pressure from everywhere, and everybody's athletic enough to make plays. And as a quarterback, that's tough to battle. And when you've got that young man right there as your leader, you're always going to have a chance.
9 seconds to play. Again, with the 49ers, they're a team. I mean, a guy like Gore and a guy like Willis don't get the acclaim, the notice that they would if they were playing with a team that was a little bit better and playing in lots of second half of doubleheader games and primetime games. And for the 49ers, they're on our Sunday night schedule for the first time since we've had this package on October 10th against the Philadelphia Eagles back here at Candlestick Park.
And the reason they are is because they got better last year. And I think a lot of people have picked them to be the winner of the West.
So Webb is going to try to avoid getting sacked in the end zone, and he can't. And that's going to create a safety. And that's going to end the game. And you know why I'm laughing, don't you?
Yeah.
Of course you do.
There are some people happy, some not so happy.
Right, and there are some going, I can't believe what just happened.
To me.
To me.